Hello, everyone. How are you? So, are you ready to start our class today? Today's class is about childhood, right? So, I'm just checking the chat here. So, let's see, like, who's here. So, just a minute. I'm checking the link here right now. All right. So, I can see there's 7 people there. So, who's there? I think Edison. Are you there? Edison. Juan, Leticia. How about you? Are you there too? Yeah, who's there? Hey guys, hi, hello. How are you? How's it going? Juan, hello. Addison, who was just asking about the live. Well, I think we should start. Okay, I'm going to screen share. Let me screen share this here so you can see the presentation. As you guys know, this is about childhood, right? So as you can see here on the screen, so this lesson is going to be about our childhood. So talking about your childhood, vocabulary and grammar. Fine, fine, me too. Uh, talking about childhood. So, em português se diz falando sobre a infância. Okay, so talking about childhood. Overview. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So you guys are ready. Warmer questions, right? So first we're going to have some questions just to briefly discuss, what the topic is going to be about, right? Then later we're going to have some vocabulary. So this vocabulary is going to be all about words and terms about childhood. So everything is connected to childhood, everything we're going to talk about today. Third, grammar. The grammar today is going to be used to. I'm going to explain to you how we use this, right? Used to. If you haven't seen this before, used to, it's not, used to não é o que se poderia pensar em usado para, ok? Não é isso, é outra coisa. I'm going to explain to you later in this class what it means here. It's just a way to talk about the past. Then we're going to have a dialogue. We're going to read it together and understand the dialogue together, practice pronunciation, and later a final discussion too. So here, our warmer questions are, first one, what's your earliest childhood memory, right? What's your earliest childhood memory? And here, let me just talk to you about this. I'm going to open my Microsoft Word here so that I can further explain this to you. You probably know the word early, right? Let me just increase the font size just a little bit. Okay, I think you can probably see. I'll increase a little bit more. Okay, early, right? So early in Portuguese significa cedo, all right? And here we're talking about earliest. If you remember from last class, when you add est, it means we're doing the superlative, right? So earliest em português significa o mais cedo, principalmente quando a gente adiciona o the aqui. The earliest. The earliest. El más temprano. O mais cedo. The earliest. 最早. The earliest. So what is your earliest? If you take a look here, the question was, what's your earliest childhood? Oops, sorry, just a minute. Okay, here. What's your earliest childhood memory, right? What is your first memory? Do you remember it? The first memory you have from the time you were a child, you were a kid. What is it? Your earliest childhood memory. If you know it, you can type it there in the chat. Do you have an earliest childhood memory? Anybody there? No, maybe it takes some time to think, right? It's not something that you can think right away, right? So maybe you were in your grandmother's house. Maybe you're eating something different. Maybe you were walking in the park with your mother, or you were on the beach, right? So an early childhood memory. The second question, what did you used to do when you were a child, right? So what did you used to do when you were a child? So when you were a kid, when you were very young, what were the things that you did? So that's what it means here. What were the things that you did when you were very young, when you were a child? Then, do you have a child? Now it's the question about those who are adults and probably have some children. So do you have a child? Yes or no? If you don't have one, do you want to have one? Have you thought about it before? Have you considered having children? Why and why not? Right? So these are some questions to think about. Yeah? And some people probably say, oh, no, I don't want to have children because they're too expensive, right? So some people say, oh, I love having children because they're very fun and we have a great time together, right? But other people, they say, no, I don't want to have kids. They're too expensive, too much money, no kids, right? So it all depends on what you want. And the fourth question, what are the advantages? What are the advantages and disadvantages of being a child, right? What are the good things? Okay, the advantages are the good things. So what are the good things? And what are the disadvantages? What are the bad things about being a child, about being a kid? Yeah, what do you think there? So just think about them, consider them for a while. Here, before we move on to the things, this is about the vocabulary, okay, that we're going to check about things we used to do in the childhood. Let me just show you another important grammar point here. The term used to. I told you, I was going to explain to you, right? So used to. Em português significa costumava. Costumava, used to. Acostumbrava, used to. For example, in the question, what did you used to do when you were a child, right? What did you used to do when you were a child, right? Pay attention here that here we use only the word use, okay? Because in there, let me highlight this here. Here we have the word did, okay? So did. Because we have the word did here, we use the verb in the present. Because did, it's already in the past, all right? Did is a particle in the past, and use, it's the verb in the present. Remember, in English, you cannot put two negative particles together, okay? There's only one negative for each sentence. So here it's already negative, then here the verb has to be in the present, not in the past, okay? This is in the past. Sorry, I mean that this is in the past. There are two grammar things. There are two very important grammar points in English. One is that we cannot have two negatives in a sentence, and the other one is that you cannot have two past particles in a sentence, okay? So let me just rephrase it here. This is not negative, this is past. All right, let me explain this better here. So past. You can have only, okay, let me write here for us here. We can only have one past particle, okay? Past particle, or word, okay, a past word in a sentence, okay? You can only have only one word in the past in a sentence. This word in the past is did. So that's why here we use the word in the present use, right? And then if you take a look at the answer, it would be I used to, we're going to say this in a minute here. I used to ride my bike, okay? I used to ride my bike. So here, used to, so this is already in the past, okay? I used to ride my bike. You see, the other verbs are in the present here, right? So ride is in the present because used is already in the past. If the verb has ed, it means the verb, oops, sorry. Let me close this. Okay, if there's ed here, it means the verb is in the past, all right? So only one word in the past, right? Here, only one word in the past, did. Here, only one word in the past, used, okay? So I used to ride my bike. Now let's talk about riding your bike here. Right? It's this one over here, right? So this is the main question. What did you used to do when you were a child? First thing here, many children they used to do. Uh, I used to play soccer, right? This is one of the things. Yeah? I used to play soccer, right? Another activity, very common among children. I used to play with Lego, right? I used to play with Lego, just like this kid is here. And these are big Lego blocks, right? They're big for young children, very big ones. How about this one here? What did she used to do when she was a child? Think about it. She used to paint, right? So here, I used to paint, right? In that case, we're talking about her here. So she used to paint. How about this one? What are they doing here? Think about it. What are they doing? So they're swimming, right? They're jumping into what is this place called? This is a river. Okay, so here we have I used to swim in a river near home, right? Eu costumava nadar em rio próximo de casa. I used to swim in a river near home. Next one that some people used to do when they were kids. What is this called in English? Como é que chama pipa em inglês? So this is a kite, right? A kite. So here we say, I used to fly kites with my father, right? So here we have the kid, the mother, and here we have his father. So I used to fly kites like this one with my father. Remember to repeat, okay? If you can do it, just repeat after me to practice your pronunciation, right? So repeat after me here. I used to fly kites with my father. Pronunciation here, with. Remember the th, right? With. Here we have another word with th too. Father. Okay? Father. Remember the tip of the tongue between the teeth, so you can pronounce it properly. Father. The next one, the next activity. Oh, what is it? I'm sure many of you know this in English. How do you say it? Como se diz xadrez? How do you say this game in English? This is chess, right? Chess. So I used to play chess with my brother, right? I used to play chess with my brother, right? Chess, right? Be careful not to say cheese, okay? I've heard many students say cheese, and then I said, no, it's not cheese. We eat cheese, okay? But here we play chess, right? So we eat cheese, but we play chess. We play chess. The game is chess. Other childhood activities, very fun childhood activities. This one here, riding a bike, right? A lot of kids do this. So I used to ride my bike. This is something that I actually used to do a lot when I was a child. I used to ride my bike. Okay, pronunciation here, ride. Which other things can we ride? What other things can we ride? So ride a bike. We can also say ride a, what is that? Ride a horse. Okay, so you can ride a horse, you can ride a bike. These are the two main things you can ride, but you could also say ride a motorcycle, right? So you can also ride a motorcycle. So these are the three main means of transport that we can ride. There are other things we can ride too. Oh, how about this one? This is awesome. This is really cool. Horse. Yeah, exactly. Someone just typed it here in the chat. Horse. Yeah. I used to play mad scientist. You know those crazy scientists? Mad scientists. Like, look at the boy's face here and what he's doing, right? So, mad scientist, cientista maluco, right? Mad scientist. So, did you used to play mad scientist? Anybody? Any of you used to play mad scientist when you were kids? Guys? Yeah, I'm sure that usually boys like to do it, right? Getting things to mix, like, so young boys, they like to go to the kitchen or the bathroom and or the garage, right? And they get lots of different stuff and mix them together to see what's going to come out, right? So I used to play mad scientist. This is another interesting activity, an interesting game that children like to play. I used to play doctor with my cousin, right? I used to play doctor with my cousin, right? Sounds even kind of funny here, right? Yeah. Look at the boy's face. Seriously, like he's smiling here. Uh, So play doctor, right? So that's another childhood activity too, childhood game. And this boy here, he's playing with a, what do you call this, right? What do you call it? It's not a real car, right? So in English, we call this a toy car, okay? Because it's a toy. So it's a toy car. So I used to play with my toy car, right? How about you? Did you used to play with your toy car too? Yeah. I used to play with my toy car, like this one here in the picture. The next one, we have this girl here, and in here, we can see that she used to play with her doll, right? So I used to play with my doll, right? I used to play with my doll. And you can see this is her doll, right? So here you have a toy car. This is a doll. So uh, very common, very common toys that children like to play when they're very young. Oh, this one is very interesting. What is she doing there? Just take a look at this girl. What is she doing there? Right? This is money, right? Isn't it? She's playing with money, right? Yeah. So here, uh, sh- this is money this is not real money. Okay, she was actually making money, like producing money. So I used to make play money. So this kind of money is called play money. It's money that children create. Children make this money to play, right? So they think they have a store, for example. They imagine they have a store. They get some objects to sell in the store, and there are other kids. Other kids. Okay. Someone just wrote here in the chat, "My father," right? And someone. So they get along together with other kids, and they play the buy and sell game, right? So I have this and I want to sell, right? And I say, okay, this costs $10, and then the other child gives me a $10 bill, right? And she pays for it, yeah. And then I give it to her. So I sell my product and she buys my product. Okay, so the person who buys is the person who uses money, the cash, right? So when you buy something, you use cash, you use money. And when you sell, right, you receive the money, you receive the cash from the customer, right? So this is a game. It's a very important game, actually. Very cool, but very important game as well for kids to play. So because they learn how to deal with money, right, as early as they can. It's a very cool activity. There's another one here. This is a different kind of childhood activity. Pretty cool, actually. Like aero modeling, right? Aero modeling. And we have here some model airplanes, a helicopter. Let's see each one of them. Here, it's a model plane. So it's not a real plane. It's a toy plane, but this kind of toy plane, we call it model plane, right? So model plane. And yeah, this one here is also a model plane. So some children, they like to get the pieces, right? So they receive the pieces, and then they glue them together and make their model planes, right, to play with. Some of them even have remote controls. Remote controls, controle remoto, yeah, remote controls to fly their model planes. It's pretty cool. And this one is even more modern, even more fancy here. This is even fancier here. A model helicopter. This is a model helicopter, right? And it's kind of a big one, actually, I think. How about this one here? Take a look. This one down here, it's a model rocket. A rocket. So I think you're probably thinking of Elon Musk when you see this, right? Rocket. So nowadays, like everybody's talking about Elon Musk. So in English, we say that he has a rocket company, right? So he runs a rocket company, right? So here we have a model rocket. And this we're having here rocket science class at school, right? This is a rocket science class at school. So here, see the kids here, see the teacher like teaching them how to deal and how to play with rockets. My childhood, someone who wrote here in the chat. Yeah, my childhood was a little bit like this actually, with model planes and but no rockets. When I was a kid, we had no rockets. We only had the model planes. Rockets are more modern, just like kids nowadays. They have rockets, right, to play with. But when I was a kid, I didn't have it. Take a look at this. So here we have some kids launching model rockets, right? So they're launching their rockets. Launching, it means, em português, significa lançar, né? Então, aqui as crianças estão lançando seus foguetes de aeromodelismo. Yeah? So kids launching model rockets. Yeah, rockets. And pay attention to the sound of this R here, okay? You have to roll your tongue, or you have to curl your tongue here. So it's rockets. So rockets, right? So model rockets. Now, let's take a look at some craft projects. So these are very cool, very exciting projects that kids love to do as well, right? This one is with clay, right? Clay. Em português, é argila, okay? So clay. So kids love playing with clay. This one is called modeling clay. You can actually see here in the picture, right? It's written here, modeling clay. So this kind of clay is a different type of clay. You can see some kids playing with that too, right? So modeling clay. Mas em português isso aqui não é chamado de argila, é outra palavra que se usa em português. Tá me falhando a memória aqui, como que chama em português. Mas pela figura eu acho que dá para entender, né? Modeling clay, it's this colorful... lembrei, é massa de modelar. Massa de modelar, modeling clay, all right? And we have papier-mâché. It's another very cool activity as well that kids can do. And for making papier-mâché, you only need 3 ingredients. Water, so you can see here some water in the pan, some pieces of paper, right? And wheat flour, okay? Wheat flour. Wheat flour significa farinha de trigo, tá? Então, farinha de trigo, pieces of wheat flour, pieces of paper, any kind of paper that is, you can easily mix it with water and make dough. So we're going to make some kind of dough here, right? Mixing them together. And that's what you have here. So you mix the paper with, you make the glue with the wheat flour and the water. You make natural glue. Then you use the paper, and then you can make anything you want. So that's called, in English, it's called making papier-mâché. Actually, this is a French term, okay? This is French, but it's also used in English. So it's a word that is pretty much used in English as well. So it's French and English. Oh, yeah. So someone is saying here in the chat that he has a sculpture made of papier-mâché. Yeah, cool. I wonder what that sculpture is. So dialogue. Now, let's take a look at this dialogue. So these two people are talking about their childhood, right? And one person, her name is Anna, she asks her friend, do you remember your childhood? Right? Guys, let's go. Repeat after me here. Do you remember your childhood? Yeah. I think most people usually do, right? And then Ben, he replies, yes, I do. I used to play outside every day after school. What about you? Right? So repeat, just to practice our pronunciation here. Yes, I do. I used to play outside every day after school. What about you? And then Anna continues, I used to ride my bike all the time. It was so much fun, right? So I used to ride my bike all the time, from morning to afternoon, evening, all the time, right? So she used to ride her bike. And she says that it was so much fun. It was fun. It was very exciting. It was really good, okay? So she had a very good time. So it was fun. It was fun. Then he says, that sounds great. That sounds great, right? So it means, oh, from the way that you're telling me, it sounds, I think it's really good, okay? It sounds great. It means, I think, yeah, it appears to be very good. So it sounds great, okay? Great. It means very good, all right? I also used to climb trees with my friends. The word here also, it means to, right? So here you could say, I used to climb trees with my friends too, or I also used to climb trees with my friends. And the pronunciation here is there's no B sound, all right? So here we just say climb. So the B is not pronounced, okay? So just climb. So I used to climb trees, subir nas árvores, yeah? Climb trees. So I used to climb trees with my friends. And then Anna goes, really? Oh, really? I was afraid of climbing trees, she replied. Yeah. I was afraid of. Eu tinha medo de. I was afraid of climbing trees, right? And then Ben goes, I used to be a little brave. I used to be a little, just a little, brave. But I was scared of the dark. Mas eu tinha medo do escuro. But I was scared of the dark. Right? I was scared of the dark. So a lot of children, they are scared of the dark, right? So Ben was also scared of the dark. And then Anna replies, me too. Yeah, me too. I used to sleep with a night light, right? A night light. Because she was so scared of the dark, she couldn't turn off all the lights, right? So she had to have a night, a night light. Yeah? Um, and then Ben, he replies, same here. So it means me too. You can say me too or same here. So literally, em português significa mesmo aqui, literalmente, mesmo aqui, que também significa eu também. Same here, me too, right? Those were good times. Those were very good times. So we really liked it. Those were good times, right? So how about you? In your childhood, did you have a good time? Right? Did you have good times? Different days that you enjoyed very much, right? Did you have good times? So this is the dialogue about between Anna and Ben about their childhood. Now we're going to have a final discussion, right? And this final discussion is really good when you have a class that you can actually talk. But today we're going to take a look at the vocabulary and the pronunciation, right? As we've been doing already. What did you used to do when you were a child, right? So we asked this question before. What were the things that you used to do when you were a child? Second one, what do your children usually do? Okay, how about your children? If you have children, your children, what do they usually do? What do they usually do every day or on the weekends, right? Are they similar? Are they similar to you when you were a kid? So the things that they do, right? Your kids, do they do things similar to the things that you did when you were a kid or different? So sometimes our children, they do things that we also used to do when you were children. Sometimes not. Sometimes they have other types of games. They do other kinds of activities, right? Especially because times change, right? So now, if you think about it, if you were a child 20 years ago, so childhood now is not the same as childhood used to be 20 years ago, right? So things change. It's another generation, right? So each generation, every like 10, 20, 30 years, children's habits, they change, their games change too. Number 3, if you could go back in time, se você pudesse voltar no tempo, if you could go back, return in time, would you choose to be a child again? Você escolheria ser uma criança de novo? Would you choose to be a child again? Would you do it? Yes or no, right? And for how long? So for how long would you want to be a child again? For just one day, maybe for 1 week. Yes. So when I say here no, he didn't want to go back to childhood. Maybe for a few months, right? So, why and why not? So this is something we can discuss. If we have a class in the future, we have a class together, so we can discuss this. The reasons why you would like to go back in time or why not. Fourth question, which realistic ways do people use to go back to childhood? You see, some adults, they really love childhood so much, they miss their childhood so much that they literally want to go back, right, to their childhoods. Yeah? And so which realistic ways do people use to go back to childhood? So one of the things that I found out is that some adults, they like to play with children because it makes them feel like they are children again, right? So this is a realistic way that people used to kind of like go back, right? Of course, we cannot go back in time, but it's kind of trying to go back in time. So that's why some people like so much to play with children, because it's so fun, right? And it really, usually it tends to bring us good memories from childhood, from the times we used to play with no worries. Fifth question: is it better to be a child or an adult? Right? And why? Have you thought about it before? I don't know. Is it better? Oh, by the way, better here, it means melhor. Melhor. Is it better to be a child or an adult? Which one? Do you prefer to be a child or do you prefer to be an adult? And why? Anybody? Type there in the chat. Do you prefer? If you prefer to be a child, type there child. If you prefer to be an adult, just type there adult. Which one do you prefer? Anybody? Adults have bills. Oh yeah, yeah. That's the prayer. Yeah, someone just typed here in the chat. Adults have bills. Yeah. So os adultos têm contas para pagar e as crianças não. Right? So that's maybe it's one of the reasons why some people like to go back to try to. Hey, Sergio, how's it going? Depends. Yeah. So someone just typed here. Depends. Yeah. So there are some good things that people do that is good to be in a. It's really depends. I really agree with Saj. It really depends because there are some very cool things we do when we were children, but there are also some very cool things we do when you are adults, right? As adults, we usually have more freedom. I think it's one of the greatest advantages of being adults that we tend to have more freedom because we're adults, right? And children, they are under the control of their parents, so they can't do everything they want to do. So this, yeah, it really depends. Yeah, yeah, he's saying exactly. Yeah. So being an adult is great because you have freedom, but we have, we have a lot of responsibilities. So that's the disadvantage of being an adult, right? As adults, we have a lot of responsibilities, but children, they don't have all of those responsibilities, right? So their main responsibility is to do their homework, right? And they worry so much about that, right? So when I talk to children and I ask them, so how's your day today? How's it going? And then they tell me, ah, I'm having a very bad day. And then I ask them why. And then they tell me, because I have too much homework. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's kids' problem. Yeah, adults' problems and children's problems, right? Right. So here we have all of the questions in the discussion. What have you learned? So this is a question I always ask by the end of every class. Every class I ask that. Okay. So we have like excelente aula, muito prática. Okay, thank you for the comment, Ray. So, what have you learned today? O que você aprendeu hoje? What have you learned today? So this is a question I ask every day. So every time by the end of the class, I ask that. So you can think about it. What did you learn today? Right? So if you go back here, we can take a look at the vocabulary, right? So we learned, I think you can probably see here, we learned these terms to talk about childhood. I used to play soccer. That's one of the things we learned today. The other thing, I used to play with Lego, right? I used to paint. I used to swim in a river near home. I used to fly kites with my father. I used to play chess with my brother, right? Other childhood activities. I used to ride my bike, right? I used to play mad scientist. Let me put this one on slideshow here. I used to ride my bike. We also talked about playing mad scientist. I used to play doctor with my cousin. We also talked about playing with a toy car. So I used to play with my toy car. I used to play with my doll. I used to play with my doll, this one over here, right? And the last one, the very funny, interesting game here that this girl used to do. I used to I used to make play money, right? So she used to make play money. So I think this girl would probably become a very rich woman, right? When she grew up. Yeah. We also talked to air modeling, right? Model planes, right? Model helicopters, right? And model rockets too, right? Here we have a model rocket science class, and we saw some kids launching model rockets, right? Model rockets. We also talked about craft projects. We talked about clay. How about this one? Remember what kind of clay is this one? Modeling clay, right? Kids playing modeling clay, and papier mâché. So I also told you very, very cheap and very nice way to make papier mâché for children. It's a very cool activity. Like if you have children, and if you've never done it, please do it. Like your kids are gonna love it, especially if they're under the age of 12. If they're like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, they will love this. Making papier mâché at home. You just need water, wheat flour to make glue, to make natural glue, and paper, right? And we also talked about the grammar, right? So today we talked about early. Early, em português significa cedo, okay? Early, cedo, early. And the earliest means o mais cedo, the earliest. So remember, we talked about this here too. When you add est, so we make it a superlative. Aí se transforma no superlativo, the earliest, o mais cedo, the earliest. Né? We have a comment here. So the word mad reminded me of childhood magazine called Mad. Oh yeah, I remember the magazine. Yeah, very interesting comment here. The Mad magazine. I don't know if you know this magazine here. Mad magazine. Yeah, if you have some time and if you want to search, it's a very cool magazine here. I don't know if they sell it anymore, but Mad magazine, I really liked it too. Like it was, and they have it in English, right? They have it in English and in other languages as well, right? Okay, and the other thing we talked about was used to, right? Used to. Em português, used to significa costumava. Então, quando a gente pergunta o que você costumava fazer quando era criança, em inglês vai ser What did you used to do when you were a child? O que você costumava fazer quando era criança? What did you used to do when you were a child? Right? And here we have the answer we talked about. I used to ride my bike. I used to ride my bike. Right? So remember the rule we talked about here. If we use a word in the past, like did, for example, then the verb has to be in the present, right? So here, if you use a word in the past, then the other verb in the sentence has to be in the present, okay? So never use two words in the past in the same sentence, only one, yeah? I used to play video games. Oh yeah, someone just made it. Oh yeah, another thing here. So Juan just made another comment here. So Juan, he said that he used to play video games. So when he was a child, he used to play video games. So that's something a lot of children do, especially more recently, right? I used to play video games. At my time, I used to play Atari. I don't know if you have played Atari. Have you played Atari before? In Brazil, they call it Atari. Yeah. In English, Atari. Yeah. So I used to play Atari. So if you played Atari, it means you're over 40 years old. Okay. So let me get back here to our presentation. So this is pretty much it here. What I've learned today. Do you have any questions? Do you guys have any questions? Sérgio, Juan, Angela. I'm gonna stop sharing here, right? So Atari, yes, isn't of my time. Yeah, some people are younger here. They say that, yeah, Atari is so old, like they're very young, so they never played Atari. Yeah, all right. Yeah, if you're in your 20s or in your 30s, then you probably never played Atari before, right? But people who are over 40, they have played, and it was a very cool game at the time in the 80s. That was back to the 80s, right? When you played Atari, back to the 80s. All right, guys. So that's it for today. So I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you want, you can watch this class later, take notes. If you have any questions, leave in the comments below. Please like the video. If you think this was a very useful class, give you a thumbs up, ok? Dê like aí no seu vídeo se você achou que a aula foi útil para você. Give you a thumbs up. Write comments. Escreva comentários no vídeo também. Write comments. Questions. Se tiver alguma pergunta, pode colocar nos comentários também, que eu posso responder depois. If you have any questions, just write in the comments then I can reply to you later, okay? And I'll see you later. So thank you guys. Good night and see you next time. Goodbye.